Today, we're going to talk about Google Meet. We're going to look specifically at nicknames, new tools and features available, and how to manage students and members that are in your Meet. Take a moment to read through these outcomes. Nicknamed Meets are the topic we're going to discuss. In order to have a nickname, Meet is set up with a name, and that time the link does not work from time to time to time. Every time you establish a new nickname Meet, it gets a new link. So the advantages are that if the teacher is the last to leave, students cannot re-enter. Students cannot get in our system unless they have an Osseo apps address. That is our apps.district address. And students cannot start the Meet without the teacher. In order for students to gain access to the nickname Meet, they will go directly to the Google Meet link or icon, and then they'll enter the nickname to that Meet. So you're going to have to make sure that your students have your nicknames, and that's how they will join the Meet. When setting your students up for success on virtual classrooms and Google Meets, you want to make sure that you're setting the expectations as you would for your students in your classroom. You're going to build that safe community. You're going to teach expectations, and where you can go visual with those directions. If you're going to have slides, make sure you put pictures on the screen, little icons that tell students what to expect. And if you want to, you can make pictures, draw pictures to hold up like the class. This picture to the left is off of a blog that I found online about teaching Google Meets and virtual classes. Notice that she has drawn out the symbol. They don't have to be beautiful and perfect. You can draw something that says, come back in 5 minutes, and then just hold that up for a class. And so that can be as easy as putting something up that your students can then see in order to get that information in a visual way. And then discuss the use of the chat if you have the chat enabled. Remind them that if you go to presentation mode, you can't always see the chat. So maybe you assign a student to read things from the chat. But again, you have to talk about what students will put in that chat. We also have some new features in Google Meet that allow us to disable that chat if it's a time that we can't monitor it. When you're presenting, consider presenting a tab instead of your entire screen. The advantage of presenting a tab is that no matter where you navigate to on your computer, the students will still see the tab that you set up. And so if I want them to see notes about what they're doing during some work time, I can put that slide up, and then I can go back, and then I can monitor the chat and I can see their faces. So you can easily switch on the top. There'll be a new share this tab if you navigate to different screens. So let's say I have them looking at a Google slide, and now I want them to look at today's assignment. I can go click on the assignment, choose the share this tab button, and it will switch to that tab, but it won't go through all my other stuff. So if I have email or attendance open, students won't see that if I scroll through those pages. They'll only see the tab that is being presented. You'll also use Present a Chrome tab if you are showing a video with sound. This is the only way for them to get the video and the sound. If you have a presenter in your class that you need to stop for whatever reason, there are two ways. You can hover over their picture and you'll get this little symbol, this circle with a dash in it. That is the way to stop it. You will also find it over to the right in the People tab. The person who's presenting will be in there twice. One is their name and one is their presentation. And so click on that presentation one, and you can click on that same tab with a dash in it, and you can remove their presentation. You could also mute a presentation if for some reason you wanted to still see the information, but you didn't want to hear whatever was being played in the background on the presentation. You could just hit mute on that presentation. If you need to mute a person, you would find their person link. You can tell which people are unmuted by looking for the 3 green dots, and that'll tell you who is currently has their microphones on. So if you have a sound in the background and you don't know who it is, you can scroll through that people list and look for those dots and see who that is. So you can mute the person. You cannot unmute them, but they can unmute themselves. So you're going to hover over their face, and then you're going to get these little bars, and you're going to click on the little microphone, and that will mute them. If you find yourself in a situation to remove somebody from a Meet, you can do it the same way you removed a presentation. So you'll go click on their name and you'll get the little circle with a dash in it, and you can hit that and it will remove them from the Meet. In our current settings, if they're removed from the Meet, they cannot rejoin with that link from that email. And so if you have a nickname set, it means that they can only get in through their Osseo apps, and then they can't get in if they've been removed. So in order to get back in, you have to invite them. And so you're going to go to People, Add People, and then enter their email at their @apps address. And that will send them an invitation, and then they'll be able to get back into that Meet. New tools. Host controls just rolled out. There are some really nifty controls. We talked a little bit about the fact that when you're in present mode, you can't see the chat. There's a new feature that allows you to turn off the chat. And so maybe when you're presenting, you turn off the chat so that because you can't be in a situation to monitor it then, and then you can turn it back on when you go back to the screen. Same with share their screens. You can turn that off so that students and other members of your meeting cannot share. Quick access. Read through this one. I've got a whole nother slide about it. It is about who can get in and when. If it is turned on, if quick access is turned on, then kids can just join the Meet whenever the Meet is open and you're in there. But if you turn it off, then they must ask to join and they'll sit in a waiting room, and then people can't join anonymously, so they'll have to be in the Google Meets or their Osseo apps address to get in. And then only hosts can use the dial-out feature to call somebody else from the meeting and invite them in. So one person suggested maybe you keep quick access turned on for the beginning of your class period so students can just come into your Meet, and then maybe after that you would turn it off so that you can see who's waiting and you can invite them in to your class. So you can control who comes in and out. Another place that you could use quick access controls turned off is if you're meeting with parents and you have some sensitive information and you don't want somebody else bursting into your meeting. You could turn the quick access off, and then you could have a meeting with a family, and then when you're done with that meeting, you could let the other family in for the next meeting. We are expecting a couple other controls yet to come out. It's almost the end of September, so we are waiting for a few. Here's a little bit more information on quick access settings if you want to take a moment and read through that. Also expected in September are more tiled views. We are looking at, every time I go in, it seems like we get more and more tiles down in the view in the bottom right corner. And then we're still waiting on a whiteboard from Jamboard to be integrated into Google Doc or Google Meets. In October, we're expecting backgrounds, we're expecting breakout rooms, attendance tracking, better recording features, hand raising and polling. So we're all excited to see those roll out. And those will be many of those will be in the Enterprise Edition, which we are subscribing to as a system this year. And then if you want to go customize your settings, here's kind of a little sheet with just some information on how to go about those things and all some of the features we talked about, like removing and muting, turning microphones on and off. So here's just a little cheat sheet on that. Here's just an example of some student expectations that you may teach with your students in order to have them use proper etiquette on your Google Meet calls. You'll want to find something visual and you'll want to make it age appropriate to your students, but you'll want to teach those same skills to students that you would for an in-person discussion in your class. Thank you. Much of this presentation was put together by Andy Badeau in our Learning and Achievement team, so thank you to her for her assistance with this.